Ezekiel's wheel within a wheel. Ancient tech or God spaceship. The hook. The Bronze Age close encounter. Forget the golden harps and the chubby cherubs. The most famous vision in the Bible wasn't a dream. It was a mechanical nightmare. In 593 BC, a priest named Ezekiel was standing by a river in modern-day Iraq when the sky literally opened. What he described wasn't just a vision of God. He described a craft, a machine with interlocking wheels, metallic eyes, and a propulsion system that defied the laws of physics. For centuries, theologians told us this was purely symbolic. But in the 1970s, a NASA engineer looked at the same text and did something crazy. He tried to build it. Today, we are deconstructing the Merkaba, the chariot of God. Was Ezekiel witnessing a divine miracle, or was he the first person in recorded history to document a Type II civilization spacecraft? The description, the living creatures and the chrome. Ezekiel didn't have words for aluminum, engines, or drones. He used the language of the Bronze Age. He says he saw a whirlwind and a folding fire. But look closer at the details. The color. He describes it as chashmal, electrum, a glowing, polished metal. The four faces. He sees beings with faces of a man, lion, ox, and eagle. Ancient astronaut theorists argue these aren't faces, but insignias or multi-directional sensors. The movement, the creatures didn't turn. They moved in straight lines in any direction, like a drone. But the real mystery? The wheels. Their appearance and their work was as it were a wheel in the middle of a wheel. Ezekiel says the rims were high and awesome and covered in eyes. In the language of a 6th century BC priest, eyes are the only way to describe glowing lights or glass portholes. 3. The NASA connection, the Blumrich blueprint. This is where it gets real. Meet Josef Blumrich. He was a high-level NASA engineer who worked on the Saturn V rocket and the moon missions. Blumrich originally set out to disprove the idea that Ezekiel saw a spaceship. He thought the ancient aliens crowd was nonsense. But as he applied structural engineering to the biblical text, he had a eureka moment. He realized that what Ezekiel described was a technically feasible landing craft. Blumrich even patented a new type of wheel based on this, the omnidirectional wheel. It allows a vehicle to move sideways without turning the chassis. He argued that the 4 living creatures were actually 4 landing legs, each equipped with these wheels and helicopter-like rotors. When Ezekiel says the spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels, Blumrich interpreted that as a central power supply or automated control system. The cockpit, the crystal firmament. Above the wheels, Ezekiel describes a firmament that looked like terrible crystal. To a modern eye, that sounds exactly like a cockpit canopy. Inside, he sees a throne made of sapphire. But notice the noise. He describes the sound of the craft as the noise of great waters and the noise of an army. That's not a choir of angels. That's acoustic resonance. That's the roar of a propulsion system. Even more telling is the physical effect on Ezekiel. When the craft lands, he is knocked to the ground. When he is lifted up, he describes the sensation of a great rushing. This is a physical interaction with a high-energy machine, not a hazy, spiritual trance. The debate, theology versus technology. Now, let's play devil's advocate. Traditional scholars argue this is the Merkaba, the throne chariot of God. In Jewish mysticism, this vision represents God's omnipresence, the ability to see everything, the eyes, and go everywhere, the wheels. But here is the million-dollar question. Why can't it be both? If a higher intelligence, or God, wanted to interact with a human in 593 BC, they would have to use physical means. If Ezekiel saw a chariot, he was describing the most advanced vehicle his mind could comprehend. Whether it was a literal extraterrestrial scout ship or a divine manifestation, one thing is certain. It was a physical object that occupied time and space. The conclusion, the ultimate cold case. We've turned Ezekiel's vision into a Sunday school story with clouds and wings. But the raw text is much more Iron Man than Renaissance art. When we strip away the religious tradition and look at the engineering, we find a description of a machine that we are only just beginning to understand today. So, was Ezekiel the first UFO witness? Or was he seeing a dimension of reality that science hasn't caught up to yet? I want to hear from you. Do you think Blumrich's NASA engineering proves this was a physical craft? Does the spaceship theory make the Bible more believable or less? Drop your theories in the comments. I'll be hearting the best ones. If you want more deep dives into the tech of the gods, hit that subscribe button. Next week, we're looking at the Ark of the Covenant. Was it a golden box or a massive electrical capacitor? Stay curious. Keep searching. I'll see you in the next one.